Abstract. Human-centric skills, creativity, resilience, collaboration, and adaptability have transitioned from peripheral soft skills to strategic imperatives for organizational performance and economic competitiveness. This paper examines global supply and demand for human-centric capabilities, drawing on data from the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Report 2025, executive opinion surveys across 152 countries, and analyses from education and workforce technology providers including Coursera, Indeed, BetterUp, and WorkHuman. While employers consistently rank analytical thinking, creativity, and resilience as core competencies for 2030, fewer than half of executives believe education systems adequately develop these skills. Regional disparities are pronounced. Sub-Saharan Africa and Eastern Asia report above-average collaboration readiness, yet curiosity and lifelong learning remain weak globally. Human-centric skills prove surprisingly fragile. Pandemic-era data reveal declines exceeding 5% in resilience and teaching skills, and recovery remains incomplete. Paradoxically, these skills are also among the least susceptible to AI transformation, with empathy, leadership, and creativity tasks requiring distinctly human judgment, context, and lived experience. Yet they remain largely invisible in hiring. Only 72% of U.S. job postings explicitly mention them, and recognition in workplaces skews toward dependability and leadership while undervaluing creative thinking. The paper proposes a 9-principle framework for developing, assessing, and credentialing human-centric skills, emphasizing authentic performance-based evaluation, psychologically safe learning environments, and portable digital credentials. Case studies from AWS, PwC, Tecnológico de Monterrey, Udemy, and others illustrate scalable approaches to embedding these capabilities into organizational and educational ecosystems. As technological advancement accelerates, human-centric skills represent the decisive competitive edge for individuals, organizations, and economies. Introduction. In an era defined by artificial intelligence, AI, automation, and accelerating technological change, the most valuable professional capabilities are not technical, but human. Once dismissed as peripheral, soft attributes, human-centric skills, creativity, innovation, adaptability, resilience, empathy, and collaboration, have become the hard currency of contemporary labor markets. Employers increasingly recognize that while technology may enhance efficiency, human-centric skills drive innovation, enable collaboration, and underpin long-term productivity. Yet global skills systems struggle to keep pace. Education systems often treat these capabilities as assumed competencies rather than systematically developed outcomes. Employers report significant gaps. Only half consider their workforce proficient in collaboration or creativity, and fewer in resilience or curiosity, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Job postings rarely specify human-centric requirements explicitly, and traditional credentials fail to capture these competencies effectively. Without robust frameworks for development, assessment, and recognition, the economic and social potential of human-centric skills remains unrealized. This practical challenge intensifies against a backdrop of converging global disruptions. Demographic shifts are expanding human expertise-intensive roles, nursing, social work, teaching, where empathy, communication, and resilience are indispensable, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Geoeconomic fragmentation and economic uncertainty heighten demand for adaptive leadership and problem-solving. The green transition requires systems thinking and collaboration at scale. And generative AI, while automating routine tasks, magnifies the premium on distinctly human capabilities. Machines can process, predict, and optimize, but they cannot empathize, inspire, or build trust. These dynamics create both urgency and opportunity. Scaled effectively, human-centric skills deliver gains far beyond individual employability. At the macro level, they function as engines of resilience and growth, boosting productivity, sparking innovation, and enabling economies to adapt amid disruption. They shape how people collaborate, lead, disagree, and solve problems, laying the foundation for social cohesion, trust, and inclusion. By equipping workers with adaptable mindsets and lifelong learning habits, they underpin career mobility, resilience to change, and sustainable purpose throughout working lives. This paper responds to these imperatives by examining the global supply and demand for human-centric skills, analyzing their fragility and durability in the face of external shocks, and proposing actionable frameworks for businesses, educators, and policymakers. Drawing on data from the World Economic Forum's Future of Jobs Survey 2024, executive opinion surveys, learning platform analytics, and recognition data spanning 73 countries, it provides evidence-based guidance on how to develop, assess, and credential these vital capabilities effectively. The human-centric skills landscape. Defining human-centric skills in the new economy. Human-centric skills encompass uniquely human capabilities that promote adaptability, innovation, and meaningful interaction in dynamic and uncertain environments. The World Economic Forum, or 2025, organizes these into 5 interconnected domains. Creativity and problem-solving, creative thinking, analytical thinking, systems thinking, and mathematical reasoning enable individuals to address complex challenges and generate novel solutions. Emotional intelligence, motivation and self-awareness, resilience, flexibility, and agility allow individuals to manage themselves, navigate interpersonal relationships, and sustain well-being under pressure. Learning and growth, curiosity and lifelong learning, teaching and mentoring, and dependability foster adaptability and enable individuals to help others develop, essential for continuous improvement in rapidly changing contexts. Collaboration and communication, empathy and active listening, leadership and social influence, and proficiency in speaking, writing, and languages are critical for teamwork, inclusion, and leading with impact. While this paper focuses on higher-order skills, foundational competencies such as literacy, numeracy, and digital fluency remain building blocks for communication, learning, and acquisition of more complex capabilities. Human-centric skills do not exist in isolation, they are deeply intertwined with technical, business, and sustainability competencies, creating multiplier effects that amplify workforce readiness across domains. Prevalence, drivers, and distribution. The talent pipeline, gaps in human-centric skills among youth. Although many countries identify human-centric skills as policy priorities, progress embedding them systematically into curricula remains uneven. A study of 152 countries found communication, creativity, critical thinking, and problem-solving to be the most frequently cited skills in national policy documents, or CARE 2018. However, clear pedagogical guidance and robust assessment practices are limited, and terminology varies significantly across systems, reflecting cultural tailoring and different values. Employers perceive substantial gaps. The World Economic Forum's Executive Opinion Survey 2025 reveals that while nearly 6 in 10 executives globally believe primary and secondary education systems nurture the ability to work with others, fewer than half see creativity, curiosity, or resilience as well developed. Regional patterns are striking. Sub-Saharan Africa scores above average in creativity, resilience, curiosity, and collaboration, suggesting confidence in preparing students to navigate change and work collaboratively. Eastern Asia and Latin America and the Caribbean are the most optimistic overall regarding human skills readiness. Northern America, Central Asia, and Oceania rank creativity and problem-solving highest but collaboration lowest, indicating strengths in individual innovation but weaker collective capacity. Globally, collaboration emerges as the strongest educational outcome, yet curiosity and lifelong learning, skills essential for self-directed, future-ready mindsets, receive comparatively less emphasis across all regions, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Teacher preparedness remains a bottleneck. The OECD's Survey on Social and Emotional Skills, or SSES, 2023 found that 30% of teachers of 15-year-olds had no training in incorporating social and emotional skills into classroom practices, and 40% lacked training to monitor these skills regularly. OECD, 2024a. Many teachers, particularly in secondary education, feel less capable fostering social-emotional skills than other teaching tasks. Although structured practices, explicit teaching, guided reflection, peer-to-peer learning, are proven to enhance student well-being, motivation, trust, and academic outcomes, their integration into curricula remains inconsistent. OECD, 2024a, Durlach et al. 2011. Robust evaluation of these skills is still in its infancy. The Program for International Student Assessment, or PISA, 2022 Creative Thinking Assessment, conducted in 66 countries, found that only half of students in OECD countries could generate original ideas in familiar contexts, and in over 20 countries, most students did not reach baseline creative proficiency. Results also revealed divides. Students from higher socioeconomic backgrounds consistently performed better, and girls outperformed boys. Policymakers cited overcrowded curricula, limited assessment practices, and insufficient teacher training as key obstacles to embedding creativity systematically. OECD 2024b. PISA 2022 also offers insights into learning strategies and lifelong learning attitudes. Fewer than half of students frequently ask clarifying questions when they do not understand lessons, and only 44% report carefully reviewing homework, behaviors strongly linked to academic performance and metacognitive growth. OECD 2024c. These self-monitoring and persistence habits, central to self-directed learning, are strongly associated with later engagement in adult education. Program for the International Assessment of Adult Competencies, or PIAC, data confirm that adults with stronger intrinsic motivation are more likely to pursue lifelong learning. OECD 2021. Additionally, attitudes such as open-mindedness and growth mindset remain uneven. Just over half of students surveyed believed there was only one correct position in a disagreement, reflecting limits in perspective taking and critical thinking. Conversely, students with stronger persistence, self-efficacy, and growth mindsets were far more likely to adopt proactive learning strategies, such as connecting new material to prior knowledge or engaging in group discussions. OECD 2024c. SSES 2023 data also reveals socioeconomic divides in socio-emotional skills. Disadvantaged students show lower levels of creativity, tolerance, assertiveness, curiosity, sociability, and empathy, reflecting unequal access to learning opportunities in and out of school. Gender differences are evident. Girls tend to report higher levels of empathy and tolerance, while boys report stronger sociability and self-control, patterns likely shaped by cultural expectations around gender roles. OECD 2024a. A growing gap in human-centric skills demand. Technological advances and evolving labor market dynamics have intensified demand for human-centric skills. The Future of Jobs Report 2025 underscores the urgency. By 2030, nearly 6 in 10 workers will need some form of training. While digital fluency in AI, big data, and technological literacy is growing in importance, employers consistently place the highest value on human-centric skills as the real differentiators in the new economy, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Analytical thinking, systems thinking, creativity, resilience, motivation, self-awareness, curiosity, and lifelong learning are not only core today but are projected to remain critical over the next 5 years. By contrast, skills such as dependability and attention to detail, teaching and mentoring, multilingualism, and reading, writing, and mathematics are expected to plateau, increasingly viewed as foundational or assumed competencies, or tasks supported by technology. It is important to note that these latter skills remain foundational building blocks. Their relative deprioritization by global employers likely reflects assumptions that they are already baseline competencies rather than strategic differentiators. Yet supply is not keeping pace. The World Economic Forum's Executive Opinion Survey 2025 reveals that just 1 in 2 employers consider their workforce proficient in collaboration or creativity, and fewer in resilience, curiosity, and lifelong learning. This suggests that while teamwork and collaboration are relative strengths, the mindsets and habits underpinning continuous growth and self-directed learning remain global weak points. Regional differences add nuance. Employers in Eastern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa report higher workforce proficiency in collaboration, while those in Oceania and Northern America report the lowest shares. Although there is little regional variation for creativity and problem-solving, resilience, flexibility, and agility are most positively viewed in Latin America and the Caribbean and Southeastern Asia. Curiosity and lifelong learning are weakest across all regions, underscoring a global challenge in cultivating future-ready mindsets, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Learning trends in human-centric skills. While employers point to workforce readiness weaknesses, evidence suggests individuals are actively investing in these capabilities. Coursera data generated for this analysis shows steady increases from 2020 to 2025 in learning hours dedicated to human-centric skills. Since 2022, there has been sharp growth in analytical and systems thinking, and since 2024 in creative thinking, resilience, empathy, curiosity, and lifelong learning. Learning hours in analytical thinking and systems thinking increased by 1.7% between the first quarter of 2024 and the second quarter of 2025. Other skills: creative thinking, motivation and self-awareness, resilience, empathy and active listening, curiosity and lifelong learning, and dependability, expanded even more rapidly, with average growth of 8.2% between 2022 and 2025. Teaching and mentoring have also gained momentum since 2023, as learners increasingly invest in peer-to-peer training, instructional practice, and curriculum design. By contrast, leadership and social influence have remained relatively stable, showing only modest increases in learning hours. The data also reveal that human-centric skills are not taught in isolation but are closely intertwined with technical, business, and green skills. This interconnectedness creates multiplier effects. Investing in one human-centric skill often strengthens others, reducing the overall cost and time of skilling and amplifying workforce readiness. Analytical thinking stands out as the most taught human-centric skill and as a bridge across domains, frequently appearing alongside AI, big data, and business skills. For instance, 51% of courses teaching analytical thinking also cover AI and big data, 19% include resource management and operations, 16% address design and user experience, and 14% link to marketing and media. Leadership is taught alongside empathy in 56% of cases, and both are closely linked to other skill groups such as AI and digital skills, business, and green skills. These patterns highlight growing learner demand for human-centric skills and their significance for enabling adaptability across domains. The fragility and recovery of human-centric skills. Human-centric skills are often described as durable, yet they are surprisingly fragile and highly sensitive to external shocks. Economic downturns, crises, and social disruptions can erode them rapidly, as opportunities for practice, collaboration, and feedback diminish. The COVID-19 pandemic starkly exposed this fragility. Better-up data show a sharp decline between 2019 and 2021 in self-reported human-centric skills amid profound social and professional changes. Skills particularly sensitive to external shocks, resilience, the ability to cope with and overcome adversity and stress, and teaching and mentoring, experienced the steepest declines, falling over 5% below 2019 levels. Empathy and active listening appeared more resilient, declining less than 2%, likely reflecting heightened focus during the pandemic on understanding others and maintaining social connection through virtual communication. This aligns with evidence from pandemic-era research showing shifts in different dimensions of empathy during periods of social isolation. The decline in skills such as curiosity and creative thinking may reflect that, under sustained adversity, individuals tend to focus on short-term problem-solving while exploration and the drive for lifelong learning become constrained. Even by 2025, the perceived importance of human-centric skills had not returned to pre-2019 levels, illustrating that while these skills are considered durable, they can decline without sustained opportunities to practice and intentional investment. Role-based differences are evident. Declines in human-centric skill levels were steepest among individual contributors, especially creativity, resilience, and leadership, with most 2025 skills remaining below 2019 levels. Managers of managers showed the smallest declines, remaining relatively stable in leadership and empathy, likely reflecting access to leadership development. Frontline managers experienced smaller declines than individual contributors but a slower recovery. These patterns highlight the long recovery cycle of human-centric skills and the importance of structured opportunities and interpersonal practice for their development. Regional variation adds another layer. In North America, creativity, leadership, motivation, and resilience declined more sharply than elsewhere, whereas Latin America recorded the largest fall in teaching skills. These differences suggest that the pandemic's impact on human-centric skills was shaped not only by the nature of work but also by regional contexts and organizational responses. Data on time-to-skill acquisition further show that while a small share of learners, or around 25%, demonstrate progress within weeks, the majority, 50 to 75%, need several months of sustained practice to build human-centric skills. The wide gap between early and late learners suggests some benefit from prior experience or natural inclination, while others depend more heavily on structured opportunities and organizational support. Research highlights the critical role of organizational factors, such as a sense of belonging, perceived support, and psychological safety, in facilitating learning and skill development, on Human et al. 2017. Taken together, these findings highlight that the stability of human-centric skills is not guaranteed. They are sensitive to disruption, context-dependent, and require deliberate cultivation. Yet they can be rebuilt through workplace cultures and learning strategies that actively sustain them. The invisibility of human-centric skills in hiring. Another challenge is that human-centric skills are often treated as givens. An Indeed analysis of job postings from May 2024 to April 2025 shows that even when human-centric skills are critical to long-term adaptability, they are not always explicitly mentioned in job descriptions. Only 72% of U.S. job postings mention at least one human-centric skill. The share varies widely by sector, from just 45% in supply chain and transport to 92% in education and training. Anything below 100% underscores how employers often omit human-centric skills from job postings. The most frequently cited skills are communication, appearing in more than 60% of postings in financial services, government and public sector, and real estate, leadership, and dependability and attention to detail. By contrast, curiosity and lifelong learning, creative thinking, and systems thinking are rarely referenced, despite their importance for adaptability and innovation. Creative thinking is most visible in media and entertainment, while analytical thinking is concentrated in energy and materials, automotive and aerospace, financial services, and information technology. Resilience and flexibility dominate in accommodation, food, and leisure, and are strongly emphasized in healthcare, reflecting the pressures of frontline and operational roles. These patterns underscore how demand for human-centric capabilities tends to cluster within specific industries rather than being universally sought across the labor market. Recognition data deepens this paradox. Work human data show that leadership, motivation, and dependability are the most frequently recognized in workplaces, while systems thinking, teaching, and creative thinking are least acknowledged. Yet frequency does not always align with value. When comparing monetary values assigned to skills by workers across sectors and firm sizes, creative thinking tops the list as the most valued human skill, with an average recognition value of 75. Resilience follows closely at 7.5. Resilience follows closely at 75. Resilience follows closely at 6.5. Yet these skills are among the least acknowledged in hiring and promotion decisions. Taken together, findings from Indeed and WorkHuman show that the very skills expected to drive future adaptability and innovation, creativity, curiosity, resilience, are the least visible in recruitment practices. If organizations fail to make such skills explicit in job descriptions or recognition systems, they risk sending the message that they are secondary, undermining their perceived importance for future employees. Generative AI and the enduring nature of human-centric skills. The rapid advancement of generative AI, or Gen AI, has raised questions about how far these technologies can substitute for existing skill sets and reshape how tasks are performed. Research conducted by Indeed for the World Economic Forum underscores the enduring importance of human-centric skills in an increasingly digitalized world. Indeed's analysis of nearly 2,900 granular work skills, classified according to the World Economic Forum's Global Skills Taxonomy, scores skills across two dimensions: cognitive abilities and physical requirements. The analysis classifies skills into four categories of transformation potential under Gen AI: minimal transformation, assisted transformation, hybrid transformation, and full transformation. Skills rooted in human interaction and experience, such as empathy, resilience, leadership, and teaching, alongside higher-order cognitive abilities like analytical and creative thinking and curiosity and lifelong learning, are expected to undergo minimal transformation. Just 12.7% of granular tasks linked to these skills show potential for hybrid transformation. Thus, human performance will remain largely unchanged, as they depend on interpersonal dynamics, contextual judgment, and lived experience that AI cannot easily replicate. By contrast, mathematical and statistical reasoning, systems thinking, speaking, writing, and languages, and dependability and attention to detail are nearly 6 times more likely to undergo hybrid or full transformation. Here, Gen AI can take on much of the routine work, but human oversight remains essential. Overall, there are few skills with potential for full transformation, where Gen AI can handle entire tasks with minimal human interaction: basic mathematics, editing and writing exercises, and hypothesis testing. These findings highlight the enduring nature of human-centric skills. Many technical or routine skills may need constant updating as AI capabilities evolve, yet human-centric skills retain their relevance precisely because they are harder to automate. Even in areas where Gen AI is essential, human oversight remains indispensable. Rather than being replaced, human-centric skills will become even more valuable as complements to digital technologies. Tasks tied to empathy, creativity, leadership, and curiosity have low potential for AI transformation, as they depend on human, not machine, judgment, context, and lived experience. Industry and regional transformation trends. Industry trends. Shifts in the global labor market are reshaping how industries prioritize human-centric skills. The type of skills emphasized varies widely, reflecting differences in business models, customer engagement, and operational complexity. Sectors such as insurance and pension management, which value technical complexity and intensive customer interaction, rank highest in demand for resilience, analytical thinking, curiosity, motivation, and empathy. Electronics also stands out, placing strong emphasis on creativity and foundational skills such as reading, writing, and mathematics, reflecting the need to blend innovative design and problem-solving with precise technical communication. Similarly, telecommunications assign high importance to leadership, driven by the need to coordinate large workforces while adapting to rapid technological change. Industries built on complex processes, such as real estate, supply chain, and transport, and retail, place greater reliance on dependability and attention to detail, while mining, agriculture, and healthcare emphasize systems thinking. Education, telecommunications, and agriculture stand out for their demand for teaching and mentoring. By contrast, the government and public sector consistently reports lower demand for creative thinking, curiosity, and systems thinking compared to other industries, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Looking ahead, demand for human-centric skills shows great variation across industries, reflecting both structural changes and sector-specific needs. Creativity is most in demand in insurance and pensions management, while problem-solving skills such as analytical thinking and systems thinking are considered most important in both education and training and mining and metal sectors. Demand for emotional intelligence skills is gaining traction in sectors such as real estate and automotive and aerospace, where motivation is most sought after, while resilience is critical in agriculture and telecommunications. Collaboration and communication skills remain central to workforce needs in telecommunications, where leadership is highly ranked, and in automotive and aerospace, where empathy and active listening is expected to grow in demand by 2030. Learning and growth skills, such as curiosity and lifelong learning, teaching and mentoring, and dependability, are expected to grow in demand in education and training, automotive and aerospace, oil and gas, and real estate. By contrast, some sectors display weaker reliance on some of these skills. Accommodation, food, and leisure, for example, places less emphasis on analytical and systems thinking, prioritizing instead creativity and leadership to meet customer-facing demands. Similarly, the government and public sector shows stronger demand for creativity and resilience but ranks lowest for curiosity and empathy compared to other sectors, or World Economic Forum, 2025. Regional trends. Demand for human-centric skills also varies significantly by region, reflecting distinct labor market priorities and cultural contexts. In 2025, analytical thinking and resilience stand out as the most valued skills across most regions. Eastern Asia places comparatively higher emphasis on curiosity and lifelong learning than other regions, while Latin America and the Caribbean focuses on resilience, systems thinking, leadership, and empathy. Central Asia employers prioritize creative thinking more strongly than their peers, pointing to a focus on innovation and problem-solving. While multilingualism is deprioritized in most regions, it is particularly important for employers in Central Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Notably, curiosity and lifelong learning, often viewed as a future-ready skill, receives comparatively less emphasis in Sub-Saharan Africa than in other regions. This reflects a focus on more immediate workforce priorities, such as cultivating dependable and resilient workers who can navigate uncertainty and deliver consistent results. Over time, however, greater investment in curiosity and lifelong learning is essential to the region's adaptability and innovation capacity as technological transformation accelerates. World Economic Forum, 2025. Looking ahead to 2030, creative thinking and resilience emerge as the fastest-growing skills globally, with the steepest increases projected in Latin America and the Caribbean, Southeastern Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. Central Asia anticipates stronger growth in multilingualism and teaching and mentoring than other regions, while Europe expects significant gains in curiosity and lifelong learning. In Latin America and the Caribbean, employers forecast rising demand for creative thinking, empathy, and motivation, while Southeastern Asia anticipates growth in analytical thinking, resilience, and leadership. Sub-Saharan Africa projects greater need for systems thinking, dependability, and foundational skills such as reading, writing, and mathematics, alongside stronger emphasis on motivation and self-awareness. World Economic Forum, 2025. Across regions, there is greater emphasis on adaptability and creativity, yet the pace of expected growth differs. Organizational and individual consequences of human-centric skills deficits. Organizational performance impacts. The gap between demand for human-centric skills and their supply has measurable consequences for organizational performance. Research consistently demonstrates that these capabilities drive productivity, innovation, employee engagement, and long-term competitiveness. Organizations with higher levels of collaboration and communication experience improved project outcomes, faster problem resolution, and greater knowledge sharing across teams. Creative thinking and analytical reasoning enable organizations to innovate, adapt to market shifts, and solve complex challenges more effectively. Resilience and adaptability among employees reduce turnover, enhance responsiveness to change, and support organizational agility during periods of disruption. Heckman and Courts, 2012. When human-centric skills are underdeveloped, organizations face tangible costs, slower decision-making, weaker cross-functional coordination, lower employee morale, and diminished capacity to navigate uncertainty. The fragility of these skills, as evidenced by pandemic-era declines, suggests that organizations cannot assume baseline competence. Without intentional investment in developing and sustaining human-centric capabilities, performance suffers. The invisibility of human-centric skills in hiring practices compounds this challenge. When job postings fail to specify requirements for creativity, resilience, or curiosity, organizations signal, perhaps unintentionally, that these competencies are less valued. This undermines talent attraction, reduces clarity around performance expectations, and limits the ability to assess candidates holistically. Recognition data from WorkHuman further illustrate this disconnect. While creative thinking is the most valued skill among peers, averaging $75 per recognition, it is among the least frequently acknowledged in daily interactions. This misalignment between perceived value and organizational recognition weakens motivation and signals that innovation may not be rewarded in practice. Individual well-being and stakeholder impacts. The consequences of human-centric skills deficits extend beyond organizational metrics to individual well-being, career resilience, and social outcomes. For individuals, underdeveloped human-centric skills limit career mobility, adaptability, and long-term employability. Workers lacking curiosity and lifelong learning mindsets struggle to navigate technological change and reskilling demands. Those with weaker resilience and emotional intelligence are more vulnerable to stress, burnout, and disengagement, outcomes that intensified during the pandemic. PISA 2022 data reveal that students with stronger persistence, self-efficacy, and growth mindsets are far more likely to adopt proactive learning strategies, connect new material to prior knowledge, and engage in collaborative problem-solving. OECD, 2024c. Conversely, students lacking these habits face compounding disadvantages as they enter the workforce. Socioeconomic divides exacerbate these disparities. SSES 2023 data show that disadvantaged students display lower levels of creativity, tolerance, curiosity, sociability, and empathy, reflecting unequal access to learning opportunities in and out of school. OECD, 2024a. Without systematic interventions, these gaps widen over time, limiting social mobility and perpetuating inequality. For organizations, employee well-being directly influences productivity, retention, and innovation. Teams characterized by high empathy, active listening, and psychological safety demonstrate stronger collaboration, higher trust, and greater willingness to take creative risks, Human et al. 2017. By contrast, workplaces that undervalue or fail to cultivate these skills experience lower engagement, higher attrition, and reduced capacity for innovation. For societies, the stakes are even higher. Human-centric skills underpin social cohesion, civic participation, and inclusive economic growth. Economies that systematically develop these capabilities recover faster from shocks, generate more innovation, and achieve more resilient growth. Countries that invest in resilience, collaboration, and lifelong learning build domestic talent ecosystems capable of adapting to technological disruption, demographic shifts, and geo-economic fragmentation. Conversely, societies that neglect these skills risk stagnation, rising inequality, and weaken social trust. The evidence is clear: human-centric skills are not peripheral, they are foundational to individual flourishing, organizational performance, and societal resilience. Evidence-based organizational responses. Organizations, educators, and governments are increasingly recognizing the imperative to develop, assess, and credential human-centric skills systematically. The following sections outline evidence-based interventions organized around 3 pillars: assessing human-centric skills, developing human-centric skills, and credentialing human-centric skills. Each pillar includes practical guidance and illustrative case examples spanning diverse industries and contexts. Assessing human-centric skills, making the invisible visible. Human-centric skills are far more difficult to measure than technical knowledge, as they are nuanced, context-dependent, and expressed differently across cultures and settings. Yet without effective assessment, learners cannot monitor progress, educators cannot adapt instruction, and employers face difficulties identifying and validating capabilities. Effective approaches to assessment. Use diverse tools to see the whole human. The most effective assessment systems combine standardized benchmarks, or for comparability, performance-based evaluations, or for authenticity, and reflective tools, or for growth. Technology increasingly bridges these approaches. AI-powered adaptive testing adjusts to individual performance in real time. Virtual and augmented reality, or VR/AR, simulations recreate complex problem-solving situations, and digital platforms aggregate results and peer feedback at scale. Offline or edge AI tools extend opportunities to low connectivity settings, ensuring scalability and inclusiveness. Make it real through authentic tasks. Standardized tests offer comparability but often reduce complex skills to simplified constructs and rarely capture real-world application. Performance-based assessments, such as simulations, role-plays, or project evaluations, provide richer demonstrations and formative feedback. While resource-intensive, AI-powered tools can reduce costs. For example, a manufacturing firm could use a digital twin of its production line to evaluate how team leads coordinate under changing conditions, assessing adaptability, leadership, and problem-solving in real time. Track thinking, not just results. Human-centric skills are expressed differently across contexts, so one-off assessments rarely capture adaptability and growth. Educators and employers should evaluate how people think and learn, not just what they produce. Digital portfolios and learning platforms help track progress over time by curating projects, reflections, and feedback that show development in real-world settings, or Black and William, 1998. AI tools can support this by analyzing how people approach problems, the diversity of ideas explored, response times, collaboration patterns, and openness to feedback. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, illustrates this principle through SimuLearn, an AI-powered simulation platform that pairs generative AI with hands-on training. SimuLearn helps individuals learn to translate business problems into technical solutions through simulated dialogues. 5 specialized AI agents work together: a business stakeholder agent, a technical customer agent, an evaluation agent, an AWS assistant, and a skills assessment agent scoring learners on communication, problem-solving, customer focus, decision-making, technical knowledge, and strategic thinking. With over 200 training scenarios, learners gather requirements, develop architecture proposals, and receive immediate feedback across roles and industries. This multi-agent system creates a safe, scalable environment for developing both technical and human-centric skills, enabling learners to surface reasoning, experiment safely, and refine the judgment and critical thinking skills that distinguish top performers. Translation into practice. Educators can redesign curricula to include real-world projects promoting collaboration and critical thinking, help learners reflect on thought processes, and maintain digital portfolios capturing both outcomes and thinking processes. Employers can use peer feedback to evaluate not just what employees did but how they did it, signal the importance of human-centric skills by explicitly including them in job descriptions and assessing for them when hiring, and work with industry partners to set shared standards. Governments can establish national guidelines and funding frameworks embedding human-centric skills into curricula and qualification systems, support performance-based and reflective assessment methods, and ensure fairness, scalability, and comparability. Developing human-centric skills, creating conditions for growth. Human-centric skills are cultivated through deliberate practice, feedback, and supportive environments rather than passive exposure. Effective approaches to development. Prioritize new economy skills systematically, embedding structured opportunities for human-centric skill development into education systems and workplaces is essential. Instructor-led and on-the-job training help learners integrate skills into daily practice. While creativity and problem-solving or communication skills are often embedded in curricula, emotional intelligence and learning skills are still assumed to develop naturally. Developing human-centric skills requires a mindset shift. They must be treated as equally important to technical competencies across education systems, workforce training, and policy agendas. Create safe spaces for experimentation. Human-centric skills grow best in environments encouraging experimentation, failure, feedback, and reflection. Evidence from SSES 2023 shows that students receiving regular feedback, especially on strengths, report higher levels of motivation, persistence, creativity, and trust. Balanced feedback, combined with supportive relationships and peer interaction, is essential for promoting self-confidence and socio-emotional growth, OECD, 2024a, OECD, 2023. Technology can enhance opportunities. AI-enabled roleplay simulates difficult conversations with real-time feedback. VR and AR platforms immerse learners in scenarios replicating negotiation, teamwork, or decision-making under pressure, and emerging tools such as AI coaches create safe, low-risk spaces for practicing empathy, inclusive communication, or conflict resolution. Yet these tools must be used intentionally. Research suggests that over-reliance on technology may risk cognitive offloading, outsourcing complex thinking, emotional regulation, or decision-making to machines, which can weaken deep reflection and active learning. Sustaining higher-order cognitive and emotional skills requires desirable difficulty, the productive struggle that occurs when learners engage in effort-heavy tasks beyond their comfort zone, Black and William, 1998. Fuel purposeful learning through experimental approaches. Simulations, projects, and role-play provide safe environments to test new behaviors, apply knowledge in authentic contexts, and receive feedback. Active listening exercises, empathy-building activities, and assertive communication training strengthen emotional intelligence, while presentations, team projects, and challenge-based learning promote collaboration, resilience, and problem-solving. These approaches are powerful but depend on skilled facilitation, equitable access to resources, and well-designed contexts to ensure consistent outcomes and inclusion. Tecnológico de Monterrey exemplifies this approach through its Tech 21 educational model, a national reform moving beyond lectures to challenge-based learning. More than 50% of the curriculum now centers on real-world challenges co-created with industry, government, and community partners. Students work in multidisciplinary blocks, or 5, 10, or 15 weeks, where teams tackle authentic problems, e.g. redesigning a sustainability strategy or creating a social innovation for an NGO. Faculty teams and over 3,000 external partners jointly design challenges to ensure relevance and diversity of perspectives. Alongside disciplinary knowledge, learners practice transversal human-centric skills such as self-awareness, social intelligence, reasoning for complexity, innovative mindset, and ethical engagement, all strengthened through meaningful international experiences. Technology is integrated as an instrument increasing learning gain, creating flexibility, and amplifying collaboration through immersive simulations, virtual worlds, and AI addressing different disciplines. The university embeds a competency-based system throughout the curriculum. Institutional rubrics place sub-competencies on 4 levels and are applied to performance tasks such as challenge deliverables, simulations, pitches, and lab work. Peer and self-assessment capture teamwork and reflective practice. Digital portfolios and learning analytics compile evidence of both outcomes and decision-making processes, enabling comparable, fair feedback and informing continuous improvement. Verifiable digital badges integrate with student records and competency transcripts, globally verifiable and shareable on professional platforms. Graduates leave with portfolios and credentials showcasing human-centric strengths alongside technical work, improving mobility and early career readiness. Research shows more than 15 points in learning gains in over 1,500 students using adaptive technologies. Employability within 3 months rose from 81% to 89%, with retention and graduation efficiency at historic highs. Translation into practice. Educators can design curricula prioritizing hands-on learning, reflection, and feedback, create psychologically safe classrooms allowing failure and experimentation, and emphasize the importance of human-centric skills development to parents. Employers can build mentoring, feedback, and peer learning loops into organizational culture, training, and leadership programs, use AI tools to create safe spaces for experimentation, and explicitly list human-centric skills in job descriptions and performance frameworks to signal their value. Governments can incentivize partnerships between education institutions, employers, and edtech providers to design safe, authentic practice environments, make human-centric skills a national policy priority, setting clear learning standards and funding scalable, equitable models of experiential learning. Udemy illustrates technology-enabled safe spaces through AI role play, which gives people a low-stakes way to practice human-centric skills including communication, conflict resolution, inclusive leadership, ethical decision-making, and critical thinking. Available in 5 languages, or expanding to 4 more, Udemy's AI roleplay reaches 81 million learners and 17,000 organizations across 225 countries and territories. Instructors and organizations design scenarios mirroring authentic organizational challenges, such as resolving team conflict, running an inclusive design critique, or handling a performance conversation, while the AI dynamically responds to learner choices and language. Learners receive personalized feedback and guidance on what to try next, enabling rapid iteration without social penalty. To strengthen fairness and relevance, role-play provides standardized feedback tracking engagement, progression, and completion, with organizations and learners able to align scenarios to their values and competencies. Most AI role-plays designed so far sharpen high-impact skills related to leadership, management, and strategic thinking. Learners report higher confidence navigating difficult conversations, teams use analytics to target coaching, and organizations gain a scalable alternative to resource-intensive live simulations. Majid Al Futtaim in the United Arab Emirates deployed a national new joiner learning initiative, a structured, tiered program providing targeted workshops focusing on human-centric skills necessary for modern workplaces, including communication, resilience, critical thinking, adaptability, and change readiness. The program caters to Emirati talent at various career stages, from frontline employees to entry-level managers, for 6 to 8 months, with learners attending 5 in-person workshops at 6 to 8-week intervals. The program is government-funded for eligible UAE nationals at AED 11,000 per person, with Majid Al Futtaim supporting through its education allowance, a public-private partnership where government funds 70% of costs through Abu Dhabi Global Market, ADGM, and employers cover 30%. Since 2023, the program engaged 650 beneficiaries, or 50% female, enrolling 534 frontline employees and 15 entry-level managers, achieving an average Net Promoter Score, or NPS, of 9 out of 10. Pre- and post-training evaluations reveal a 44% increase in knowledge, helping participants perform more strongly in their roles. The initiative's sustainability is underpinned by continued government support, ensuring long-term funding and alignment with national economic goals. Organizations seeking to replicate this model should align programs with national priorities, focus on specific workforce cohorts to maximize impact, and embed community feedback from the outset to ensure initiatives are shaped by real needs, lived experience, and industry best practice. Credentialing human-centric skills, making progress portable and trusted. Credentialing human-centric skills remains perhaps the most challenging area. Skill recognition must be meaningful, portable, and trusted across borders, sectors, and systems, qualities still unevenly achieved today. Effective approaches to credentialing. Set shared standards for recognition. Traditional qualifications like degrees and diplomas provide well-recognized signals of competence but often capture what people know rather than how they adapt, collaborate, and lead. Alternative credentials, micro-credentials, digital badges, and endorsements are emerging to certify specific human-centric skills such as creativity, resilience, leadership, or collaboration. Their modular, stackable format helps people build and showcase skills over time. Still, without shared standards and employer recognition, their value risks being inconsistent. Establishing common frameworks for validation and interoperability at national and global levels is essential to prevent fragmentation and ensure credibility. Prove it in practice through evidence. Portfolios and real-world evidence offer deeper insight into how skills are applied. However, they remain concentrated in creative or technical fields and often lack trusted verification mechanisms to be credible in hiring or admissions. New hybrid models connecting formal qualifications with modular credentials can make lifelong learning more visible and credible. Documented performance, such as projects, reflections, and peer evaluations, can provide robust proof of skills in practice, but only if embedded in systems that employers and education providers trust and recognize across hiring, promotion, and lifelong learning. Badge what matters with transparency. To ensure recognition is both meaningful and portable, credentials must clearly reflect context, process, and learning outcomes. Digital badges, portfolios, and other forms of micro-credentials should include metadata detailing how skills were acquired, assessed, and endorsed. This transparency enhances trust and comparability, helping employers and educators interpret credentials accurately while avoiding credential inflation. Technology can help. Blockchain-based systems and secure digital portfolios allow credentials to be portable, transparent, and verifiable across borders. QR-coded badges and embedded metadata provide additional layers of trust by linking credentials to verified evidence of learning and assessment, and offline and hybrid solutions expand recognition to low-connectivity environments, ensuring credentialing is equitable and inclusive. PwC illustrates this principle through a global framework accrediting learning and skills across its 340,000 people, recognizing human-centric capabilities to make progress visible, portable, and understood across teams and markets. The portfolio includes badges such as Inclusive Mindset, which develops awareness of bias, intersectionality, and micro-inequities while fostering curiosity and empathy. Issued via Credly, these digital credentials serve as verified, shareable records. The PwC professional framework defines expected behaviors and anchors development to how work is delivered as well as what gets done, placing human-centric skills on par with technical expertise and business outcomes. Credentialing sits within a wider upskilling model. Starting with PwC's New World New Skills program, PwC's Skills Journey supports continuous learning at scale and emphasizes not only technical skills but also human skills foundational to how PwC delivers outcomes, lives its values, and demonstrates its purpose. The PwC professional behaviors define the standard that leaders and managers use to evaluate performance, coach and develop others, provide in-the-moment feedback, and support staffing decisions. Some business units reinforce learning through practice-based experiences, such as empathy-building interventions, so learning translates into observable behavior. PwC badges are learning curricula across strategically important topics, with transparent criteria requiring learning, application, and assessment. For human-centric badges like Inclusive Mindset, participants complete curated learning, reflect on their role in creating inclusive environments, and demonstrate practical steps to shift everyday interactions. Some member firms have made the Inclusive Mindset curricula a requirement for new joiners. Each individual's learning is reviewed before a verifiable credential is issued, enabling individuals to share validated achievement internally and externally. Individuals gain recognition for behaviors benefiting client work. Badges signal strengths in communication, collaboration, and inclusion. 90.9% of badge earners agreed it improved their ability to practice more inclusive behaviors. Managers use verified evidence as one factor in staffing decisions. Teams benefit from clearer expectations, and aggregated badge data provides a view of capability supply informing investment, while a common language for human-centric performance strengthens culture and delivery quality. University of Los Andes, or Colombia, is introducing undergraduate digital credentials to make specific competencies with high professional value visible, verifiable, and portable before degree completion. Soon, this will include competencies in interdisciplinary areas related to critical global challenges and in human-centric skills such as leadership. Each credential is built around a formative pathway of at least 10 academic credits, combining courses, internships, and experiential learning. Completion alone does not confer a credential. Students must pass an authentic performance evaluation providing concrete evidence of applied competence in real or simulated work. Credentials are student-initiated yet centrally verified for integrity. Once requirements are met, the registration office issues a blockchain-secured digital badge ensuring authenticity, portability, and employer-friendly validation. Digital badges and micro-credentials are recognized within formal programs, not merely as co-curricular add-ons. 3 undergraduate credentials were approved in September 2024 from the School of Arts and Humanities, with additional offerings in development across the university's 11 schools underpinned by critical human-centric skills including active listening, communication, emotional intelligence, and collaboration. To keep offerings aligned with emerging labor market needs, the institution uses an AI-powered trend analysis tool to identify high-demand topics and inform design of new pathways. Though early in implementation, the approach modernizes academic options into competency-based, credentialed pathways. The initiative aims to improve employability and entrepreneurship preparation by certifying competencies prior to graduation and offering meaningful recognition for students who exit early. Assessment design, grounded in authentic performance evaluation, assures employers' credentials represent proven capability. While blockchain-verified badges streamline verification and reduce administrative burdens. Translation into practice. Educators can integrate digital portfolios and skills tagging into coursework so learners can document, reflect on, and demonstrate human-centric skills developed through projects and experiential learning. Employers can formally recognize digital portfolios, badges, and verified skills records in hiring, promotion, and professional development to reward human-centric skills, and collaborate within and across industries to set shared standards. Governments can develop national standards and frameworks embedding human-centric skills into formal qualifications, recognize micro-credentials, and support interoperable digital credentialing systems, and collaborate across regions to promote shared standards. Building long-term human-centric skills ecosystems. Beyond individual interventions, sustaining human-centric skills at scale requires systemic change grounded in enabling conditions guaranteeing equity, trust, and relevance. Access and inclusion as foundation. All learners, regardless of background, must benefit from opportunities for development, assessment, and credentialing. Technology should serve as an enhancer rather than a substitute for human judgment, expanding access, enabling scalability, and supporting reflection, while upholding transparency, privacy, and equity. Assessments, development practices, and credentials should be designed to recognize different cultural and gender perspectives while actively minimizing bias. Embedding inclusivity not only strengthens trust in skill recognition but also ensures relevance and applicability across borders and industries. Principals Academy Trust partnered with the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business, with funding support from Capitec Foundation, to professionalize school leadership at scale in South Africa. Recognizing principals as key levers for change, particularly in contexts of high poverty and crime, the goal was to move to durable, systems-based, people-centered leadership grounded in new economy skills like systems thinking, creative reasoning, and personal mastery, of self-awareness, resilience, empathy. The co-designed program is a flexible executive course building technical and people-focused skills, with selected participants receiving a full bursary. Learning continues beyond the classroom. Principals receive at least 3 years of one-to-one coaching from veteran former principals and targeted teacher classroom support to anchor systemic change. A principal-peer network strengthens collaboration across schools and districts. In 2023, the program expanded to include deputy principals and 2 high-potential teachers per school, creating a shared language and leadership bench so gains endure when principals are promoted. The program has significantly shifted leadership behaviors and school outcomes, reaching 273 school executives across 11 cohorts since launch. Participating schools recorded gains in independently assessed systemic tests and school leaving results. In the first secondary school cohort, bachelor pass rates rose by 16.4 percentage points, versus 5.8 points provincially, despite starting from a far lower base, a 19.7% in participating schools versus 36.5% provincial. By the end of the period, the cohort surpassed the national pass rate by 2.5 percentage points. In primary schools, the first two cohorts improved by 20.23% on average on the Principals Academy Trust Performance Index, which aggregates results from externally administered, internationally benchmarked assessments. In 2023, 11 program alumni schools ranked in the provincial top 10 for performance, and for others won Most Improved Subject awards. Beyond numbers, systems, and culture are sticking as alumni are regularly promoted to circuit manager roles, extending the model's reach. Common language and context awareness. Adopting a common skill language aligns learning outcomes, hiring practices, and recognition across systems. The World Economic Forum's Global Skills Taxonomy provides one such framework, enabling comparability while allowing for local adaptation. Equally important is context awareness. Assessments, development practices, and credentials should recognize that human-centric skills are expressed differently across cultures and settings. What counts as effective communication or leadership in one environment may not translate directly to another. Frameworks must be flexible enough to accommodate this variation while maintaining rigor and comparability.